the last one, which I mean, like, it's kind of true. But interestingly enough, the options premiums are pricing in a smaller move than we've seen in the last 3 years now, pretty much. So what that means, I don't exactly know, but just something to think about, I guess. So yeah. Nvidia flows. We got anything today? Any Nvidia flows? What is shoe? Steve Madden. Steve Madden. I didn't know that was a ticker. Steve Madden. When does this thing report earnings? Not for a while. So not an earnings trade, just a trade. Retailers seem to be doing pretty well lately. We got Steve Madden. These Victoria's Secret calls from yesterday are 130 to 2 pretty
Is that
much.
Steve
So what is
Madden, the
that? Like,
shoe
would you say
company?
percent? What's up?
Is that Steve Madden, the shoe company?
Yeah, Steve Madden, the shoe company.
I didn't even know they were publicly traded.
I knew they were at one of the because of the Wolf of Wall Street. But
that's right.
I didn't know that they were still. But yeah, that's interesting. Other retailers, KSS. I think I had a KSS contract I was tracking, but I got rid of it. Got rid of my American Eagle contracts. Stopped tracking those. Yep, I don't know. Shoe. Doesn't really ever trade options. Like if you look at the historical. So what happened on August 11th? August 11th saw a lot of call volume. Let's see, August 11th, shoe. What do we got here? Volume. 100% multi-leg. So what was that multi-legged with? Let's take a look here. So it was a roll. Someone rolled their shoe, so it's actually not really that bullish. They actually lost money on the open and the close here. But anyways, so yeah, shoe. Opening trade. What else do we have today? Let's see here. Let's take a look at the chat. Someone says thoughts on snow earnings tonight. Haven't seen any snow. What do we have here? What is that? Nothing too big. Let's see if we have any snow here. Snow. Nothing there. Nothing there. Nothing really for snow. Haven't seen any snow. Let's see here. OG Prime posts snow from a few days ago. Some 2:30 strike. October calls were opened on the 19th of August at 5.96, and they are pretty much even right now. Last fill at 6. So there is that. Take a look at the tape here. What does the tape suggest, if anything? Too little tape. You always want to give yourself something to look at. Maybe if that's even too little. I mean, I guess it looks like a buy to open, but no way to know. Earnings obviously tonight. What does this thing do historically for earnings? Snow. So Snow, a history of some big moves, I guess you could say, but also some moves that didn't really go anywhere. So I don't know. What is this trade slide posted here? 240. Let me pull this up. I gotta get there. Let's see. See here. If I type that in, snow. This is not the one that you were talking about, but this is a dip. Nope, this is a roll, so that's not really important. All right, I'm just gonna plug it in manually, the one you typed in. So you're sharing a September snow 3-legger. September 19, how much volume is that? 17K volume. What is that? 245 September, 245 September. All right, we'll just find it this way. 245 September, 245. So it's a three-legged trade, right? So we see this thing right here. We see 1,000 volume, 34 open interest. That looks like the start of something, right? But now we see 98% of all of this volume is attached to another contract. So we need to see what it is attached to. So it's a very complicated trade. It is a three-legged trade, it seems. So someone is trading the Snow 245C opening, as we've already established. This is also very likely opening. Although, it's 13,000 size, there is 13,000 open interest. If I zoom out, do we see any similarly sized candles? No, we don't. It's also likely an open. I'll bet this guy right here. 12,500 or 1,250 volume. So likely an open. Do we see anything in the historical to suggest it's not? Unlikely. So what is this here? So it looks, this at face value, it looks bearish. And the reason why it looks bearish, and again, this is just at face value, right? We have a bid side call being opened. We have a bid side call being opened. We have an ask side put being opened. And we have a bid side put of a lower strike. So at face value, it looks like a short call, long put debit combo. So again, at face value, this trade would cost the trader, so let's just say, so 466, which is the price of the assumed long put. So 466 minus, and then they're going to receive a credit for opening these two legs. Again, if this is what we think it is, it could very well not be. So 466 right here, minus 82, minus 184. So per contract, it looks like it is a $2 per. Max gain would be 180 minus 155, so 25 max gain. Theoretical unlimited loss if uncovered because of the short call here. But again, it could be the opposite. It could be a long call, short put credit combo instead. Yeah, the way multi-leggers fill, like it's a little bit, it's harder to read them at face value, I think. But yeah, that's Snow. Let's see here. Endemu Crazy's asking, can we go over the Apple 230? We sure can. Let's take a look. So the Apple 230 September 12 contracts that we saw volume on, what's today, Wednesday, so Monday, August 25th. Some pretty significant volume in the morning, some volume in the afternoon, which was likely a partial close given the lack of new open interest. It could still, there's no way to know. This could also be an open. But anyways, more volume today. No way to know for certain if this was other people. I mean, it's similarly sized to this candle, but no way to know. I think it very likely that the trader is still largely in the position. But I don't think I don't think they're closing. I don't think this is closing today. And this very well could not have been a close. Hard to say, really. All right, let's see here. eBay weekly 92p. Weekly 92p right here. eBay. eBay not earnings. Openers for sure. Are they buys? Who knows? Any kind of similar name to eBay reporting? Doesn't seem likely. Who knows? What about tomorrow? Nothing eBay-ish tomorrow. Ooh, tomorrow, Burlington Coat Factory. A lot of short puts in Burlington Coat Factory, as you guys may or may not be paying attention to. Yeah, I don't know. eBay, interesting. What does the eBay net premium look like? So what happened earlier in today, eBay? What time is that? 11:30 a.m. Let's just fish around and see what happened. 11:30 a.m. puts. Guess I'll use the time filter to go back some. 11:30. Say it's 11:35. So what caused the drop? How big of a drop was it? So like 160K? Do we have any flow that's 160K-ish? What is that? All right, let's try looking the other way by using the net table. Or it's not Etsy, it's eBay, my bad. Did I type in? Yeah, okay, I typed in eBay over there. All right, so was it the 92.5? Is that it? Okay, so this is what caused the drop right here. No way to know if this is an opener or a close, so it's kind of probably a close if I had to guess. So I guess this drop in net premium is kind of a wash, and this increase, I guess, is somewhat noticeable. It's these guys right here. Yeah, who knows? Let's see. Moving on. Someone's saying snow October. Let's see. Snow October 17th, 2:30. So this was from the 19th. Oh, didn't we just go over this like a second ago? I think we did. Yep. All right. TSEM had some flow yesterday, didn't it? TSEM, did I save it? I did. Was it yesterday? No, it wasn't yesterday. Or this is a different contract. TSEM. Maybe it wasn't yesterday. Maybe it was the day before. No, maybe it was yesterday. TSEM 60C 1017. Yeah, I guess this was it. So yesterday some TSEM 60C Octobers opened, and they still are held. Let's see here. Someone's saying 60 yesterday, 65. Any change in open interest? 65. So 65 October, yeah. Let's see. Midday hit. Change in open interest as we would expect. So these are also held. Let's see here. Someone is sharing a crowd 3-legger. What do we got here? This also has earnings tonight. Wonder if this put component is being sold, not bought. So if it is being sold, not bought, could it be a long call short put combo? Again, no way to know. Let's see here. I mean, they're probably all open. So we have some more open interest and volume on this specific leg and this leg, but like, I think they're probably all opening trades. The 500 though, like, what is this? 1,000. I don't know. This candle right here might be completely unrelated. All we're really looking at for this specific trade is this candle, and this candle. But let's see. Does this look like it could be long? I mean, this one doesn't really give me much of a read. What about this 350? No read either, really. Best of luck. Best of luck to all earnings players. Let's see here. Snow, harder read, a roll from the 195 maybe. Let's take a look. So indeed, we have almost 3,000 of these weekly 202s traded. However, we can see a multi-leg trades galore. If I open this up right here, we can see that 76% of all volume. So like that's probably these two candles was attached to another trade. So let's see. So it could be a roll from the 195 weekly. If it was, when was that opened? 1,200 plus 1,400 is what? 2,600. Here's 2,600. So this looks like some kind of roll. So I should see an increase in open interest on the 20th. I should see an increase in open interest on the 25th, 20th, 25th, check. Or I meant to say 26th, the day after the 25th. Yeah, so check. So this is probably them closing these, but this was a multi-leg trade to begin with. So what was this guy? This was a stock trade, yeah. So this is it's all confusing. It's hard to really make head or tail out of this stuff, unfortunately. Am I tracking any others? No, guess not. Am I tracking any other crowd? Nope, guess not. All right, let's see here. Moving on, we got also Nick. If you have this, there's any YouTube chat comments, please pass those on. Weekly Marvel 66 put. Let's see here. Weekly Marvel 66 put. Indeed, this is pretty far out there, huh? Oh, but it does have earnings tomorrow, so I guess it's not really that far out there. 66 put. 3,100 traded. Looks like possibly a single timestamp, which is a little less than ideal. Daily volume. Okay, actually, no, that makes sense. So this is it. Singular timestamp, unfortunately, so no context clues. We don't get to see the bid-ask shifting around. It does shift around like one tick here, but like that's kind of negligible. Who knows? I mean, Nvidia is I mean, like whatever Nvidia does, I'm sure this will do something tonight, right? Speaking of the markets, let's see. Is Nvidia holding up?
It is definitely off of its lows, at least. It kind of took a really big teeth kick in the morning. As you know, I was probably watching NQ, but it seems to have found a base around 181.
Someone's saying the Etsy weekly 53. Yep, 53. Does this have earnings soon? No, it doesn't. This could be or did someone say, did we look at eBay or did I just make that up? Let me scroll this chat. No, someone did say eBay.
Yeah, we looked at eBay.
Did we say eBay was an earnings trade or no?
No, definitely
no,
not.
right?
Nope,
Yeah, so
no
not
earnings.
Yeah, so I mean Etsy, eBay, not exactly the same thing, but like kind of maybe-ish in the same ballpark. Are these opened? Hard to say. Well, I mean, are they open? Yeah, they're open to 100%. Are they bought or sold? Is what I meant to say. And it is hard to get a good read here. It's hard to get a good read. What time did that start? 10:15. Daily volume 322. Yeah, IV does go up quite a bit, so you have that going for you. If you think they're buys, yeah. I mean, if you put a gun to my head, I'd probably say they were buys. Let's see. Moving on. HPQ earnings after hours. We got the 26 Ps. 26 Ps at the ask. Opening volume. Another thing for HPQ you might be interested in is the October 29s. Looks like a bid side opener here. Let's see. Single timestamp, so no real assistance, unfortunately. Does HPQ and HPE have anything to do with each other? HPQ. HPQ. HPQ doesn't say anything about Hewlett Packard or whatever the frick it is. Hewlett Packard Enterprise. What is HPQ?
They're kind of they serve separate purposes, is my understanding. So HPE has a focus lean toward like growth potential, and they focus on like AI cloud investments. And HPQ is more of a cash flow shareholder returns.
Okay, that's like the printer copy machine bullshit here.
Yeah.
Okay,
HP Inc. It's HP Inc. versus Hewlett Packard Enterprises.
Yeah. Gotcha. All right, interesting. Today I learned. All right, let's go back to the chat here. IonQ. So IonQ has a pretty several multi-leggers. So you're saying the 37p and the 43 are interesting to you. I would also look at this week's 32.5p and this week's 38.5c. Almost 100%. These four contracts are connected. Very similar volumes, about 20,000 volume, and they're all multi-leg trade. So if I just open up all of these, if I just click into all of them, they're all going to be, the volume is going to be all at the same time. So here's the IonQ 38 this week. This is a close. This is the open, 820 open. Here's the same thing, 820 open, morning trade. This one is a new trade, so it's not, there's no opening prior. This is the open, again, at the same time. Same situation, this is opening, but at the same time. So these four contracts are all linked, and the original position, well, actually, I was going to say the original position started on the 20th, but if you look here, this 20,000 volume was also multi-legged. So this thing goes back, it goes back. Let's see, so prior to that, prior to it being a 28.5C and a 30, and prior to being a 38.5C and a 32.5P, it was a 37P and a 40C. And I bet if I look at this, it'll be, this was also rolled into, yeah, so this is just like a super, it probably has no direction to it. Lots going on. Not actionable flow in my estimation. Let's see, 5 below earnings after hours allegedly. Is that true? It's true apparently. 34% multi on these. What volume is multi? Probably some of that earlier volume. Yep, that 1030 volume is multi. Don't really care about that because it's something else. But this afternoon activity, IV decreasing slightly over the course of an hour though, so it's like less significant. Like when people talk about IV decreasing and that using that to help determine buys or sells, I think it's a far more usable IV, like that the IV metric is far more usable when you're talking about transactions that are taking place within like 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes of each other, not like an hour apart from each other. If that makes any sense. I feel like these are short. I feel like these are short. The true bid ask was probably 880, 930, if I had to guess. But I'm not gonna trade this. Looks a little sus. Looks a little sus. Not in the someone knows sus. I mean, it just looks like it doesn't. It might not be what you think it is. Who knows? Actually, while I have you, I believe, yeah, we did go over it on this very stream back on June 17th. Or maybe it wasn't June 17th, maybe it was like a day after, but we saw this big Apple 150 October put flow at the ask, quote unquote. Like there's a big execution at the ask. Yes, there's 2,000 here at the bid, but like if you looked at it then, you see this big 10,000 size candle back in June. So back in June when this took place, 10,000 volume to 3,400 open interest. So like clearly an opening trade. Open interest increases as we would expect, as we'd expect it to. However, oh, and also by the way, they bought the close. So the position was 10,000 size. We have 3,500 contracts closed here. A little bit more than 6,500 closed here, but like you get the point. It's the position was opened here and it was bought to close here. And even though these puts are at the ask, even though it looks like they were bought, they were most likely sold. The true bid ask for this entire thing was probably like the bid was likely 180. So like even though it says that they were filling at the ask here, they probably filled at the 180 bid. The ask was probably like 184 or higher. If you guys have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm going to pull up a YouTube video. Give me 1 second. So just check out this video own time here. Let me drop it in the chat. Maybe Nick can drop it. All right, let's see here. Moving on. I'll get to the YouTube comments here in a second after this next one. So someone is mentioning the ENVX12C September 5. Not an earnings trade, it seems. ENVX. What is ENVX again? Oh yeah, it's like lithium battery thingy. How much volume was here? So up until this point in the day, this is 13,000 volume. How much volume is this? 4,000, 7,000, 7,000. This is also 13,000 volume. So it is very possible that this is an open close. We're not going to know until tomorrow. This is when you're going to want to look at the open interest for sure. Yeah, tricky. I don't think we'll see. I don't think they're both buys. I think just like I mean the numbers, the math adds up like pretty nicely. So I guess we'll have to see. Let's see here. YouTube general requests. We have Hood, Open, and Unity. Hood. I don't think we saw anything today. What do I have this bookmarked? Hood 110.95. What is this? Hood 110.95. Okay, this was presumed sell to open back on August 22nd. Huge volume, huge increase in open interest. So this is like kind of like this would be like a bearish position that we're looking at that is still presumably, or not presumably, it is still open. I meant to say it's presumably a bearish position. It is still open. But Hood, I don't think I've seen anything on Hood. Let me just check a couple of my other feeds, some other filters. Hood, the 119. Okay, so Hood looks like a day trade here, and maybe sell to open at 90, buy to close at 77. So that is not that's not a new position. You're likely going to see very little change in open interest on those. What about the bid side filter? We got anything going on here? Potentially some more, not exactly. I mean, this one I wouldn't really pay attention to this one. Overall, Hood leaning bearish. If you just look at the net premium chart, haven't really seen any bullish flows lately. That's just how I see it currently. Not to say that like yes, you know, the put line is going up high, the call line is negative, but like let's see if we compare it to well, I mean, I guess there's the put premium is higher than it has been, so actually maybe slightly worrisome. Something to keep monitoring. I meant to say. And again, like a large amount of put premium doesn't necessarily mean much. Like we had a large amount of put premium here, and then it ripped for a few sessions. So not necessarily the worst thing. But yeah, Hood, not much going on, unfortunately. And that is often the case. Sometimes there's just not flow, and don't force it. Don't force it. Moving on. Let's see. Open. Going to run the same thing. Let's check some filters here. The open 4.5 September 19th calls, huge openers on the, I already said it, the 4.5C. However, trading at the bid, so this seems like short calls being opened. If you guys look here, you can see quite a bit of like the meme players building up positions here. Maybe they're getting bored here because the stock's not doing anything, so they're getting rid of their calls. Some more calls up here. Some calls here in the morning, but since then, since this most recent top, not a whole lot of bullish open activity. I mean, the name's up like what, like 600%, 700% in the last like 2 months. So, I mean, your mileage will vary. Depends on what you got on the train. If you got on the train at $2, you're chilling. If you got on at $5, then you're probably booking a plane ticket to Eric Jackson's house right now or something. But yep, I don't know. Let's see. Unity. Any Unity? What do we got here? Some U weekly 43 small, nothing to write home about. 42.5 next week, nothing to write home about. 49 September 12th, nothing to write home about. What U flows am I currently tracking? I'm tracking a short 31p, so this was likely a bull writing the 31p. This was back on August 18th at 40 credits, so they're up about 50% on their position here. U4 Thursday, Friday, back-to-back days of activity. Open interest goes from like 300 to 40,000, so there's still quite a lot of the open, not the open, the U43 October is still open. Tracking super deep in the money 30Cs from back in May. I'm sure you guys remember those. These hit a new high yesterday, 1340, 1315 today. Opened at 250, 379, and 526. U24 short, so not a long put. I believe this was a short at July 15th, 3,000 contracts, 253 average fill. So yeah, not a lot of new U blood. But what happened here? What happened today? Do we have any U? What made you go up? Oh, it's probably just that combination of flows that we saw earlier. Yeah. So I guess all that flow kind of took place at the same time. That flow that I said was nothing to write home about. I mean, it took place here, so maybe it was a little something to write home about. Dollar-wise, not really too much to mention though. So I think that's it for you. Not a whole lot, unfortunately. Let's see. Now we got someone's sharing Dollar General. What do we got here? The 107Ps. Earnings tomorrow pre-market. Dollar General. Are these buys? Are these sells? What does it look like? Hard to say. Let's see here. Someone's saying, when you get a chance, make it so I can talk without push to talk. All right, how do I do this here? How do I do that? Let's see. Push to talk. I don't know where it is, man. Okay, cool. All right. Let's see. Joe Fury is saying WBA getting hit on calls today. I think WBA got hit on calls yesterday too. Oh, that's a shit ton of volume, eh? WBA. Is this earnings? Not earnings. WBA X dividend day. A second here. What's today? Today's August 27th. August 27th. Oh, I think they suspended their dividend last year. Okay. But anyway, so what I was, man, that's a shit ton of volume. What's going on? WBA. So like it got kicked out of the S&P. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Holy shit, what is going on? Is this just some kind of rebalance shit or something? I don't think it's anything of note. Just to be clear, I think it's just like some rebalance shit or something. Uh, yeah, I don't know. Hmm. Yeah, no idea, no idea. Sorry, I can't give you more insight there. See here, Terry saying, "What about this? I see puts on Li today. So Li, what is this like Chinese EV? I think or something." Yep. All right. So the 22 weekly getting hit pretty hard. Earnings tomorrow. In the pre, these do look bought. They look bought as hell. Lee. Kind of a mixed bag. But looks to trade lower more often than up. So I don't know if you're gonna take a flyer. You have that going for you. Let's see. All right, so a couple of new YouTube users are asking for snow. So snow, let me see, what do we add here? Snow. So there's two snow positions that we talked about earlier. The first one being the 2:30 strike October calls, which were opened on August 19th. They are still open and they are trading at just about even. They're up about 10, $15. The other position being the three-legged, unknown exactly, but the three-legged monstrosity that is the 245 strike call combined with the 180 put and the 155 put. Don't know if it's a bull or a bear, unfortunately. Hard to say. But actually, a lot of earnings tonight that people will be interested in. We got Nvidia, Snow. What was that other one? It's a Crowd or wrong calendar. Crowd, yeah. Okay. Tomorrow, a pretty big day as well. In the morning, we got TD, Dollar General, Burlington, Lee, Best Buy, Dick's, BBWI. Oh, Victoria's Secret tomorrow as well. Build-A-Bear. And then in the afternoon, we have Dell, Marvell, Autodesk, Ulta, A-Firm, Ecstatic, Gap, Sentinel One, Amba, Iron, Wolf, Bull. Sheesh. That's a lot. We got the week after. Oh, we're off Monday next week. Don't forget. Don't forget we are off. Next week, also a pretty busy week. Neo, Signet, Academy Sports, Zscaler, Dollar Tree, Campbell Soup, Salesforce, our boy HPE, GitLab, CHPT, Asan, a whole bunch of other shit. Broadcom, Lulu. Yeah, but I think that pretty much wraps up earnings season after that. Yeah, there's a couple randos like Chewy, Adobe, but like the major ones will have been done. Let's see. Someone has mentioned Gap 24C 912. Not 912, 919. Gap 24 919. So a 6,500 size trade today, which is also a multi-look trade, so we'll need to look into that. There was a 54,000 size multi-look trade back on July 10th. Let's investigate. So what do we got here? July 10th was a 24.28. Is that still open? Oh, they're probably doubling down. They're trading the same exact contracts that they did on the 10th of July. Today, same exact size. So on this date, 54, 52. So there could be like 100 or two other volumes. That's fine. That's essentially the same amount of volume. Today we have 84, 78. Again, same amount of volume pretty much. If I change this to the 1 day, yeah. So there's some extra volume here from people that probably saw this but like don't know that it's a multi-leg trade. Yeah, we're going to see open interest increase on both the 24 and the 28. So yeah, another clothing stock. Right? This is Gap, right? Gap. What didn't it used to be like GPS? What the fuck happened to that GPS stock? Oh, it's a new. Yeah, they changed. When did GPS stock change to Gap? Okay, so that was about exactly a year ago. So on August 22, 2024, GPS ticker changed to Gap. Reason for the change: the company changed its ticker to align with the 55th anniversary and as a symbolic step in its reinvigoration journey. Fuck off. All right.
I feel invigorated.
All right. Let's see here. Chuck is sharing the XLV. Which one's XLV? What's V? Healthcare. All right. So healthcare weekly 137.5s. Indeed, a shit ton of volume. The spread is a little wide, which is not great. Hard to say. Definitely an opener, but don't know if they're long or short. Let's see here.
We only got about 2 minutes to close.
Yep. Let me fit in this last one here. NVTS 6.5, 919. So we just got about 21-ish hundred volume opening 100%. This thing just had a pop. Whenever the stock gets like options flow at the same time as a pop, I'm always like a little bit wary. Let's see though. Singular timestamp, so no assistance. So an opening trade 100%. Just don't know if they're buying them. What is this thing? No catalyst. Or if there is a catalyst, I don't know about it. Earnings is not the catalyst because it expires well in advance of earnings. Not trading above average volume or anything like that. What is this thing? NVDA. Okay, so it's a semiconductor. See, it could be piggybacking off Nvidia earnings as a sympathy play, perhaps. Maybe not. But I think. Oh, someone says look at ENVX. Let's see. Did we look at an ENVX flow today? I don't remember. Maybe we did. ENVX. What do we got? ENVX. What am I supposed to be looking at? Oh, maybe some more call premium. Is that what we're looking at? ENVX. Yeah, so maybe the 12C did get some more. So actually, given that the volume is no longer equal on both sides here, could be seeing more openers. You'll definitely want to look at open interest tomorrow, regardless. We could see like 10,000. You could see like 50,000. So you'll want to look at that tomorrow. See here, Jignesh asks if stock spikes with options volume, how to read that. So it's not really like there's not really like a playbook on how to read it. I think it's just you just need to exercise a little bit of caution. Like, when the stock is ripping, like the bid ask, it might be a little bit wonkier than normal. So some of the stuff that's showing up like as ask might not actually be buys. I wonder if we ran into some of this with PDD. I'm not exactly sure. Because all that open interest is still there, but many of these contracts have gotten their teeth kicked in. So who knows? I mean, there's still plenty of time. Like it's Chinese stocks, right? Like they can go up 30% in a day if they want. That's not to say ride these out to zero and pray. Manage your position as always. But yeah. Gonna leave the floor open for like a couple last minute questions before I turn it over to Nick. Nvidia is going to drop earnings in like 20 minutes, give or take. It says that they usually drop at about 4:20 Eastern. So we have about 20 minutes here to mess around. So let's see here. We got one question. Rue is asking, is max pain a good thing to check for price action? So max pain, you either are a max pain truther or not a truther. This chart is actually, one of my devs is working on fixing the scaling because the scaling makes it kind of useless. But it's max pain. It's a theory, right? It's just a theory, and it doesn't necessarily always revert to the max pain. All right. So B-Man asks, "What is max pain?" All right. So I'm gonna Google a definition just so that I don't confuse anyone. So max pain definition. It's pretty simple. All right. So here it is. We'll copy and paste it so you guys can read along if you are watching El stream. Oops. All right, so max pain is an options trading theory suggesting that as an options expiration date approaches, the underlying asset's price will gravitate towards the strike price that causes the most financial loss to the largest number of option buyers while minimizing loss for the option sellers. So max pain, right? The most financial loss to the largest number of option buyers. So this max pain point is the strike price where the most option contracts will expire worthless, benefiting institutional market makers who are often sellers of options. So this thing, it's a theory. This theory assumes that people who buy options are retail and people who sell options are institutions. So it's kind of like it's making a flawed assumption off the bat because I know many of you guys are also option sellers. So this 645, so what this 645 today's expiration is saying is that the 643 strike has the most open interest. This is for both calls and puts, has the most open interest. So if SPY were to close at 643 today on the dot, the most amount of people possible would lose the most amount of money possible. It's just a theory. People, I haven't actually back tested it. I'm sure many people have because some people are like super. It's a popular theory. I just don't really know how valid it is. But then again, like you can say the same thing about like technical analysis, flow reading. I don't know. I'm sure it has some efficacy, some use cases. But yeah, so you can type in max pain on the website search bar to pull it up. It's also available as a Discord bot command. If you guys are following along in Discord, I'll use it right now. So you just type in /max_pain, you select an expiration date. You can't see this right now. If you're following the stream, just look in the Discord channel and you can see that the same exact chart has been pulled up. Max pain, SPY, today's expiration 643. Let's see. Abraham is asking, how do you see the Walmart calls for October 21? So I'm not exactly sure what you're referring to. Is there like a specific Walmart call you're looking for? One thing you can do is pull up the contract lookup. Just type in Walmart, hit the search bar. All the Walmart flow that you could want is here. Let's see here. How do you see the Walmart calls for 1121? So you said 1121. See, okay, so you're saying the 112100 strike. Let's see. So the 112100 strike, is there some flow that you were looking for? I don't see any. There's no activity here that I would consider like a whale, a trackable whale of sorts. Let me know if you can provide any clarity on that. Rue asks, thanks for the max pain breakdown. Yep, glad to help. Again, it's just a theory. It's interesting. Everyone should know what it is vaguely. Yeah, just a theory. All right, I think I'm going to hand it over to Nick now. NVIDIA should be dropping the earnings in the next 15 minutes or so. All right, so thanks for coming by. Normal Thursday stream canceled. Today we'll replace it, and we'll be back next week. If you guys missed any of the stream, it will be on the YouTube to view as soon as we log off here. All right, I'm going to turn off my stream, and if you guys are in Discord, just swap over to view Nick's stream if you want. And if you guys are on YouTube, you don't have to do anything, I think. All right, see ya. Bye-bye.
All right, my friends. So if you're in Discord, you might be safer to hop over to the YouTube because I have to hold down a hotkey for Discord, and I guarantee I'm going to forget to do that. But real quick, what I've got on screen here, plain and simple, I just have the Nvidia chart up. And I just have a couple of arbitrary intraday levels from today on the 5-minute that they've been kind of chopping around. Right now we're in a broader range from about the 181 to 182 area. This has acted as support since the rebound this morning on that dump. And that dump also coincided with a low yesterday, pretty damn close to it. Now, anything I say about the chart might be made very irrelevant on the short term. For those of you that know me, Nicholas, on the Unusual Whales team, I am an intraday scalper. I don't tend to do longer term time frames all that much. Sometimes I'll use dailies for targets, but this is my little alignment for intraday. There's our pre-market high up here around the 183 zone. But what I want to take a look at quick, and we covered some of this morning, or not this morning, Jace, at the top of the stream we covered some of this. But going into close, you can see that the net put premium gave us a little spike, a little bit of a run up, even though this yellow line here, that's the stock price, was starting to rebound even further upward. We saw this net put premium climb. Now, is that necessarily a direct indication that Nvidia is going to dump? No. Not necessarily. A lot of things can contribute to that, and one of the reasons we didn't super deep dive the flow on Nvidia prior to close, here's a few reasons. First, the volume and open interest on most of our busiest contracts are extremely inflated on the open interest side. A lot of today's flow, like let's just take this $200 call for example here, a lot of it's coming in basically 50-50 bid and ask. And not only that, it's already got 63,000 contracts in open interest. Hypothetically, this 122,000 volume could have been somebody passing those contracts on to a different person with the position, so an exit of the original 63,000 open interest, and then somebody else could have gotten another 60,000 volume today, which would add up to 122,000 volume. There's no way to know until tomorrow with that open interest updating what side of the trade or what side of buying to open, selling to close, selling to open, buying to close. There's no way to know for sure where this volume's falling. So we're not deep diving on that specifically. I just wanted to really point out the net put premiums rising while the net call premiums were dropping despite the stock price rising as we moved into close. For the most part, beyond that, we kind of see the premiums moving a little bit in line with the stock price throughout the day. But again, earlier, after the dump and then the jump, net put premium was kind of rising steadily. And then it spiked right here where it dropped, which makes sense. A lot of times they move pretty much in tandem with each other. Now again, that highest contract by volume was the $200 call weekly. Another thing I wanted to point out that we see a lot of, especially on these big tickers, Nvidia, Tesla, Microsoft, what have you, is we see a lot of deep in the money stuff. And that was the case with a lot of the puts today, which, back to my discussion on the net put premiums, can very much coincide. See how expensive the premium is here on this $216 put that's deep in the money at this point. Deep in the money at this point. All the way out for December. Can't really tell a whole lot about it other than it's super deep in the money, mostly transacting at the ask. But as you can see, there's hardly any volume there. There's only about 700 total volume on the contract, but it's still $3.5 million. This deep in the money garbage is something I tend to shut off entirely because it's noise to me. And sometimes it just comes out to be plain old put arbitrage. We have a good article on that. If I don't forget at the end of the stream, I'll drop it in Discord and in the YouTube chat so y'all can take a look at that. But for the most part, the flow itself in Nvidia was just crazy mixed. Borderline 50-50 across the board on calls and on puts. Not a whole lot to see there, but I am going to head over to the earnings page here. We covered this at the beginning of the stream, but I'm going to cover it for you guys again now. Even though you're handsome, I sure miss the Spider-Man mask. I still got it, man. It's just really hot. Although my hair looks like a mess and I sound like a mess. Got a cold or what the fuck ever for like a week and a half. I don't know what the deal is. But something that Snorlax mentioned at the beginning of the stream is the implied moves a little bit smaller than we're used to seeing with Nvidia. He mentioned no real way to know exactly why that is or if it even means anything. I have a small speculation on it. I think options prices might not be so inflated because even though Nvidia is not necessarily expected to miss on earnings, I think it's projected $1 earnings per share, 46 to 46.5 billion on revenue. There is the speculation of hits from the tariffs, from the tariffs on China. I think they projected a potential $8 billion loss, though that 15% of leeway that President Trump gave him might help with that a bit. I don't know what the hell he's barking at. But I do think there might be a bit of an offset on earnings. Now, will that translate into a dump? Your guess is as good as mine. Yeah, it's spamming a 2 in my stock search because I've got to hold that button down to talk to the Discord. But I mean, after hours, we're seeing really generic nothing burger movement. They're just waiting like we all are to see what the hell's going to happen. Get rid of that. Now, back to their expected versus actual move. Let me zoom in on this bad boy. That's an ugly zoom. Let me unzoom in on this bad boy. They've kind of fallen in line of that implied move, which is what the options contracts, the options market, the pricing therein based on expirations, implied volatility, the implied move is the projected range the stock price is expected to move via that options pricing and implied volatility. And for the most part, Nvidia tends to kind of fall pretty close to or in line. So here, Q3 2024, right smack dab in the middle of the implied move. Kind of the same for Q3 2023, last quarter. And even the last two outside of range moves we've had. Q1 2025, it was just barely outside the implied move. The other one just before that was Q2 2024, just barely outside the move. Now, back in Q1 2024, they beat like crazy, if I recall. And as you can see, the implied move was only plus or minus 8%, give or take some change. And your boy, Nvidia, thought they were going to go ahead and double that and move 16.5% in the single day time frame. Who the hell knows what they're going to do today? I'm curious to see if that $8 billion in projected loss from the tariffs to China has any effect at all. But I mean, I'm no expert on tariffs. What do you guys think? Zaid Ali says, I'm in calls. Am I cooked? I don't know if you're cooked. Nvidia likes to do things, and it is at about, what are we looking at here? 4, 8, 9. It's stayed within its implied range. Out of 9, we've got 5 times inside, and only one of them was, nope, 2 of them were negative moves. The last 2 were positive moves. But it's really going to come down to expectations versus reality. I mean, the AI thing, they're definitely one of the top dogs, if not the top dog. Nothing says in Jensen we trust. Is it going to impact all the market or only AIs? Well, here's the thing. I'm going to go to normal market tide, and I just want to show you guys something without even checking if I'm right before I show you. That's low-key how confident in what I'm about to do here. Let's go to normal tide. Let's go by premiums here. Back to those crazy deep in the money things. All right, here we go. You see this impact on net premiums? That's coming from those crazy deep in the money put contracts that we saw earlier. Really small volume, massive expense, deep in the money. I ignore that personally. But you can see how big of an effect they had on the net put premiums across the entire market. The thing with Nvidia, especially when you're looking at QQQ, Nvidia is going to have a really big impact. What was the metric? Last time I heard, I think it was the top 10% of stocks made up like 80% of all market cap, maybe 90%. I'm not sure how high it was, but it was a shitload. And Nvidia is one of the top dogs in that top 10%. So if Nvidia, rips or it tanks, yeah, it's probably going to have an effect on other stocks. You know what I mean? Get rid of this bad boy. What else? What else? Where'd my earnings page go? Did I close that? I did. I did! Yeah, and last quarter was their only miss in recent reports as well. Oh, there's a truck outside. That's what he's yelling at. Well, truck shouldn't have been there, if you ask me. Give me like 2 seconds. I'm going to go quiet him up. All right, that was a long 2 seconds, but I am back. Earnings call would be most important. Nothing's. I agree. It seems like every time, and I'm guilty of it too, endlessly, honestly. People like to get their eggs in a basket and take that shit home before the earnings call. And you can ask Dan, another guy on the Unusual Whales team, how often this happens. It's all the time. You'll have a big move at the beginning after the earnings drop, sometimes before the earnings drop, and then the earnings call happens and changes everything. Like I've seen stuff drop 15% and then rip that 15% back and then gain 10% after the call itself. Those forward-looking statements, commentary, rationale, context from the team has a big impact. That's why a lot of times people will even say in investing that it's the leadership more so than the past of the company. How they're going to handle things. T-Stan picked up dirt cheap 365s for the 29th. They were giving them away. Bro, huh? 365s, dude? I mean, if you got $1, screw it. But damn. That's way out there. What's the result, Bozos? I think 2 more minutes they drop. Nvidia likes to leave us on the edge of our seats. We'll give him a minute here. But supposedly 2 minutes. Supposedly. I know, Stan. I'm giving you shit. You're fine. All right, what are people's projections? We got like a minute and a half before they're supposed to release, assuming they don't put us back at 4:30 Eastern out of spite. 808, my only recommendation to that is turn me down. Turn the volume down, because I don't much have a volume button. It stays on 11 if you've seen Spinal Tap. It stays on 11. Dang, when I was gone, we had that little candle down about $1.50. People are just tossing shit back and forth waiting. They're tossing. Happy Days thinks we're going to dump. Zaid Ali speculates 195. What I need to do for these earnings ones is I need to get a better polls system set up for YouTube, so we can just have polls. Maybe, I don't know, maybe some like random ass rewards for the winners of polls. We'll figure something out. I sent Trump an Nvidia hat. Hopefully he wears it one day. Hey, he got Cracker Barrel to change their logo back, or whatever that's worth. But yeah, that projection's supposed to be $1.01 to $1.02 earnings per share, and that is almost 50% higher than last year. So that AI stuff is having an impact for sure. 160? Francisco wants blood. Johnny wants those green candles. He's at 200 plus. 195. I don't know what the egg means, PXC, but I'll take it. Another little bounce here. If y'all see the drop before me, let me know. Up to 183. About 0.5%. It is tapping the pre-market high as we speak. Hey, what's up, Jurassic? How you doing? All right, they just broke through the pre-market high that I marked on earlier, and then right back down. That means I must not be looking what I should be looking. Where we at? Where we at? Whoo! Oh, she is chugging. Let's see, let's see, let's see. All right, what's the drop? What'd I miss? I'm not seeing her. I'm not seeing her. I'm gonna flip this chart to an hourly to see if we have any more context for this far down. Here we go. Here's this tiny little gap from the 22nd, and we just touched the bottom of it. Let's see if they hold this gap. Again, I have a scalper brain. I'd be looking at this as if it was a 1 minute or a 3 minute chart. Might not apply to dailies and hourlies, but we are right on that gap from the 22nd. Right on it. Coming through it now. We've got earnings up here as well. Earnings per share was $1.05 versus that estimated 101 I mentioned earlier, and revenue was kind of right in line. So if I were a gambling man, I would say the downward pressure we're seeing right now, a bit of an overreaction, in my opinion. Let's give this a few minutes to react to that. I'm curious. We just talked about it at the beginning of my segment. The first move isn't always the move. And like I said, the stock price did just test an hourly gap from less than a week ago. Let's see what they do. Good or bad? Can't say until the call, to be perfectly honest. I always prefer to hear what they say first. But they beat earnings per share, and the revenue was higher than expected, but it was within the range I mentioned earlier, give or take, with the potential losses from the tariff situation with China. But like I said, analysts kind of expect that 15% rule Trump implemented to take a little of the heat away from that. But I am going to give this a minute here. I want to see what it does, because I don't know if I trust this first move. It seems dramatic. Now that said, if we just look back on Nvidia, find me a time that it didn't really, just go up. It does seem like the trajectory's been firmly up going into earnings over the last month or so here. And curious enough, back in July, we had a little gap from the 167 range up to 170. And look where this candle dropped relative to the gap I mentioned earlier and that one, right to the top of it again. So maybe we're looking at a little bit of run-up profit taking before we see some lows. I'm not the whale, no, but yes, I do. I am an Unusual Whales dude. I do those panels and whatnot that you listen to on Twitter that Unusual Whales hosts. I'm that guy with a bad haircut and a cold. That's me. It's just kind of slipping and staying. Let me pop back over to the 5. 5 doesn't give us anything. Let me look where I shine on the 1. That is a bear flag on the 1. Ooh, if they can clear back above those 177s and retake that level I drew this morning, we might look at this being a fake out. But again, no eggs in any baskets until they gap on that call. It's getting tight here. Now, I know for a lot of you, the 1 minute chart isn't going to mean shit. I understand that most of the people within these communities aren't scalpers in the way that I am. But the 1 minute's my bag. I would be eyeballing, if I were looking at the short side intraday, I'd be eyeballing this as a stop and the bottom as a stop. And just toss something at it, see what happens. But it looks bear flaggy, but if they can reclaim back above that 177, I think I will go on the record to say we are in fake out territory. Nothings. I wouldn't say after hours is completely meaningless, But yeah, I mean, you can't load up your entire bias on one after-hour move. What was the lean on Nvidia today for whales buying which calls or puts? Ali, I went over that at the beginning of my segment, but just like as a short refresher here, it was super split. I mean, oh, here we go. Let's see if they do it. Retake 177 and reject it. I should have turned our lo-fi on because it's just boring as hell in my background. Oh, initial rejection. Oh. No worries, Ali. But essentially it was pretty 50-50 split. We did have significantly higher net put premiums. I'll go back to that screen quick. We did have significantly higher net put premiums, but you know, it was mostly deep in the money contracts trading in really small size. So kind of nothing burger put flow, in my opinion. And they're back above it! Everybody! What do you think? Do you think they faked it out? Think a little profit taking? Make them tinkle a little bit? Is it so over or are we so back? So over, so back. Take a stab at it. I do want to point out what we discussed earlier on their earnings. We're still hanging out within that expected move, which again is significantly smaller than we're used to seeing in the last year or so on Nvidia, which may or may not mean anything. But we're within that move. If it doesn't go beyond that implied move, puts and calls can both get shafted here. Because that implied move is based on the options pricing and implied volatility. So if it doesn't go outside those expectations, that means options were most likely priced correctly, and the plus or minus that happens to those contracts is going to be muted compared to what you might expect. Sorry, just responded to a DM right quick. Am I blurry again? Damn, I was just bragging too because I told Boss Man that I fixed my broken camera right before the stream and I didn't. Damn. Oh, it doesn't look blurry now. Am I blurry? No, I'm not blurry. Are you screwing with me? I like this bounce. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. You see these two levels here I have drawn? I want to point out that both of these have been on since yesterday and this morning. I didn't draw these just now. They just dipped way down into that hourly gap I showed you from July. Way back in July. July 14th looks like, down to that 165. They dipped to the top of that gap spike just now. Go away, twos. And then right back up into today's range. That makes me think we might have had a little bit of a fake out. What do y'all think? I see you, Evan. Words and Letter says we're so back, boys. Yeah, I mean, right here, if this didn't happen and they just held above this red candle right here from this morning's pre-market, I would have taken that there as a long and then absolutely lost my ass for being overly speculative, even though they bounced right back to that baseline almost. But I mean, it dumped a good within that implied move toward the bottom end of it and bounced right back up to negative 1.5%. And so now really all I can say and all I can look forward to is the call to see what happens. Because like I said multiple times and will always say, the first move isn't always the move. Wait till the big heads talk. They're big heads for a reason. Let's see what they have to say before we get married to the idea that this is the move that stays. But inside this box here, as you can see, over the last week, has just played out as a straight up range. And so I'm just wondering if that little dump was a fake out that was testing the confirmation of holding that range, taking us right back up into it to see what happens when Jensen gives us some beautiful, sultry words. But on that note, homies, I think we knocked this one out the park. I had a good time. Thank you for keeping the chat interesting. Nothing worse than no fun with the homies. We'll be doing earnings calls like this for big names like Nvidia, kind of specifically. Looks like they're trying to test that 177 from above again. But again, nothing much else to do here other than wait for the call to see what happens. If they don't get outside of that range on either side, come market open tomorrow, a good amount of calls and puts will both be cooked. But not dead. There's a little bit there. But the options seem to be, so far, not putting my eggs in the basket, so far seem to be priced more or less correctly, given the move we've seen so far. Oh, this is just a KDMS what I'm drinking. It's just a zero sugar Barks root beer. No sponsorship. Maybe I should ask him for one. What do you think? It's tasty as hell. It tastes like the same. It's like the real deal. It's the same shit. It's great. All right, everybody. I'm going to get out of here. I got a couple of Instagram things to do. But be on the lookout on the channel, man. We're going to be doing a lot more streaming. And for those of you who have been around for more than 2 years, we'll be bringing back the Sunday night lives, but not on a Sunday most likely. But it's coming back, and it's coming back soon with affiliates, with people in the community, going over how they use the tools, how they use the flow, how they choose the positions they take. Some of them use TA in similar ways that I do, other ways as well. I know your boy Milt, y'all might know him. He's big on longer time frames. I'm a 1 minute, 3 minute time frame trader. But we'll see what happens when we get to this call, folks. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your afternoon and evening. Thanks for hanging out with us.